Okay, tonight, the design review board meets to hear two petitioners. The first being Ragged Island Brewery, and then Aquidneck Gunsmiths. I just want to take a quick roll call for the members that are present in council chambers and then also on Zoom tonight. Brendan Abbott, is he here? Brendan? Oh, I see it. Okay, I got you. Cynthia's here. I see Cynthia. Cyrus, I've already heard you, so you're here.
I am here.
Yes. Nick is here. I heard Nick. I see him.
Right here.
And Leslie Costa is sitting socially distanced from me. So for our petitioners, our board members consist of a registered landscape architect, two general contractors, a code architect. What's that called, Brendan? I'm sorry.
Architectural landscape historian.
That's right. A historical architect and a concerned citizen and a person with some experience in building, which is Cynthia. So we'll go right into hearing our first petitioner, which is Matt and Chris from Ragged Island Brewery. And from what I see, they're, instead of going forward with their petition that we approved in, let's see, 2019, I think it was February 21st, 19, they want to use an existing structure that's on the property and move their brewing operation to that. So Chris, if you want to go ahead and kind of give us an overview.
Sure. So, basically for a variety of reasons that probably Matt could speak a little bit better to, we've decided to try to utilize an existing building on the property to facilitate the need for a brewing space. Basically, there is an existing red barn on the property. It's a pole barn. It's, somewhat historical and has a great deal of character. And it is Matt and myself's hope that we can renovate this structure and make it much more visually appealing, but also meet the programming needs that the brewery has in terms of space for producing their products. We're not really looking at a dramatic change to the aesthetic appearance. We're obviously going to reclad the building in new board and batten siding. We're going to put in new windows, new doors, new roof. We're basically very much trying to keep it within the agricultural vernacular language of the farm. It's definitely a considerably less kind of modern, larger gesture that we had previously gotten approved. But we both feel like it's tasteful and appropriate for the town of Portsmouth.
When was the existing building constructed?
I don't know that for certain. My guess would probably be 50s or 60s.
Yeah, roughly in the 1950s. So just to speak to that a little bit more, and thank you, Chris, for jumping in. Yeah, obviously we proposed a much bigger and brand new structure prior to this. And this barn itself would have become a reclamation project down the line for us, something that we'd always wanted to finish off, which you can't quite see from the renderings or from the even from the specs that Chris has drawn up, is half the building's actually covered in plastic. So the white part right here on this picture and the existing structure, that is all like plastic wrap. Basically, they stored their backhoes and tractors in this part of the barn. It has a dirt floor and, like I said, plastic on both sides of it. And so, part of our goal here is obviously to finish the building off, clean it up quite a bit, and put it into some kind of use that's better than just storage and a maintenance shed for us. being a full-fledged brewery inside that building. We are currently in a 2,400 square foot building. This is 3,600 square feet. So that'll allow for us to have some of the growth that we need and want, but also it's a nice big open canvas for us to kind of get in there, get done fast, clean it up quite a bit, and get our manufacturing business over there as soon as we can.
Matt, this is Cy Gibson. I had so to just clarify, this building will replace the earlier approved plan, which had the new large building with all the brewery on it and all that. Does that building then go away, and this building is the new structure?
That's correct. Yeah, I don't see us ever building anything else after this. As far as a new brewery would go, this building, once it's finalized, can house all that we would need it to house. Not to say we wouldn't ask for another building down the line, but I'm just don't see us ever, not in the next few years anyway, building that previously approved structure.
Okay, got it.
Excuse me, is all the extra, the field parking that's down below near the pond, is that for like, if you had like an outdoor event?
Yes, so field parking has always been kind of laid out like this. I think even on our previous, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but field parking has always been something we were going to need only for larger scale events. The parking on the northern side and the southern side of the main building, building number 1, as well as the existing parking adjacent to that, right where that is. All that will be our main hub for parking. After that, we would need field parking. So these would be actual parking spaces, delineated, and then everything else would be quote unquote field parking.
Are those parking spaces basically gravelled and grassed, or are they any type of other surface?
There's quite a mixture of surfaces, I guess, on it right now. You have some crushed bluestone, some pea stone, some dirt areas. One of the existing parking sections actually has blacktop on it. That's the one that's close to building 3 that already exists there along the fence line. So there's, a lot of work to be done to kind of level and grade all that. But with the idea that we're going to have a pretty significant amount of septic work and site work for that, we haven't addressed that parking yet. But we plan to have it gravelled and maintained so it's nice and easy to drive on.
Got it.
Matt, it's Frank. I know we're not really looking at ISDS stuff in this committee, but where would it end up going, or how would you tie it into what you have on the property? I mean,
as far as a septic system?
yeah.
So the DEM is approved, and then we're going to go with the exact same plan that we had prior to this change in the building. So the only thing that will change up really is the connections to the buildings. Building number 3, building number 4, and building number 1 will all be connected to the singular septic system. Currently, building 1 is on a cesspool, and number 3 does not have any connection to a bathroom. There's no, I think there's a little bit of running water in that building, but I don't think there's anything else.
So also, I know Mike made a note here for photometrics cells on the lights. Is that because we've got an abutter, you're fairly close to the property line there. Hours of operation and the photocells. I mean, I saw a nice hanging fixture off the barn. Is that going to be your kind of sole lighting around that area?
I think the barn will have a couple of different lights on it, strictly to kind of light out into the grassy field areas or towards the parking lot, just to make sure that we have enough light for people. On the rendering, obviously, Chris has one there, but we think we'll need a couple more on the side as well, on the west side of the building.
What's the visibility from the neighbors?
Currently, the neighbors on the Kissel property and the Ashley Peckham properties can see through to the backside of a barn. So what they're looking at right now is a little bit of the Peckhams are unfortunately looking at a plastic barn. With the Kissels, they have pretty significant view onto our property. But we've been working with them. There is a wooden fence that's proposed. We should have a quote next week on what that'll cost us, and we will be working with the Kissel family on that directly. They'd like to have that sooner rather than later, and that's what we're hoping to do. And actually today we secured all the landscaping on the northern side of the Kissel property as well. So that'll be placed in the next few days, and that'll take care of that aspect of the landscape plan.
It's only going to improve the existing building visually.
Yes, absolutely.
Is this visible from the road?
It is not.
Yeah, there is an elevation change of I don't know how many feet, but it is definitely below the Bristol Ferry Road level as well.
Signage stays the same, obviously, Matt, right? What you've got from last time, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I had a hard time hearing you.
Signage from, it was proposed from the last approval, same, just.
Yeah, just one sign out in the front of the building, kind of just identifying who we are, replacing the existing sign that's there for the garden shop. We've also received our approvals from the Department of Transportation for the second curb cut. Right now there's only one entrance and exit to the property on Bristol Ferry Road, but in the future there will be a secondary exit. You can kind of see that's depicted here on that right there.
Right.
Did you guys give us a landscape architect's plan last time? Or
Yeah, so we just had Verde update this plan based on some of the changes we had with the site plan work that LDEC created. We're going for a much scaled back version of basically everything. We're trying to get home here as fast as we can and be a little bit more cognizant of the costs, in light of the times. So we did do some changes to the properties on the site side, which required a few modifications on the landscape plan, but that was redone since previous approval. Basically mirrors the same thing we were doing before, though, as far as buffering for all the neighbors on the north side, and then some work with the Kissels on their property line. We're also planning to work on the inside of the property line between the Kissels property and our house. That is up to them to allow for us to do that, but we are working with their family to not only put a fence up, but also inside of that fence line, give them something else to look at that would be acceptable to them. So we will be working closely with them to make that happen.
And they seem pretty happy right now?
Yes.
And I know we talked about lighting, but basically the type of lighting and everything, that's staying the same, and the building materials staying the same as the last time?
Yeah, I mean, this one's all board and batten exterior on the new building. It's currently half board and batten, so we'll be finishing that off and cleaning it up with brand new siding. The colors will be just like they were depicted in that rendering, a dark blue color. Signage and lighting. We will certainly have lighting throughout the parking areas just to ensure safety there. The main building already has a lot of the photocell lights on them, so they're currently in use and have been for a while. We just certainly need to light up any of the parking areas during our hours of operation. And those hours of operation still are only noon to 9. That was what had previously been approved by the zoning board. And that's not every day. That's just what our flexible hours are during those days. And then noon to 9 is what we are proposing again.
Are the lights in the parking, are they like bollard lights, or are they like
Correct. They're bollards. We should have submitted some work on that as well. I don't know if there's another page for the documents. I can't quite see them all, but I think Mike from LDEC sent forward those renderings as well.
Is there any more questions from the board members as of now?
I think the new building looks great.
I do
I
too.
just have a comment.
Okay.
I don't know if it was you, Matt, or whoever spoke, but at the beginning said that this is an existing building down there. It's board and batten, has some windows in it, and you're gonna finish off the rest of it similarly. But my background is in historic preservation, and I've overseen a lot of projects that are being redone. And just, I mean, not to put you off, but I approve of this. I like this idea, but I would just make sure that whatever paperwork or whatever verbiage you put into whatever you submit, say that there's this existing, and someone said, I don't know if it's historic. Well, it is. Anything built before 1975 or before is considered a historic building. So they said it was from the 50s. This is a historic building. Make sure you put very clearly in whatever you submit that any changes or upgrades or improvements to the building are going to be in kind and matching what is existing there. So if the first third of the building or half of the building is board and batten, make sure you clearly say the rest is going to be board and batten. The first windows are one over one sliding, or I don't even know what they are, but the remaining windows will be the same as well. And then you're going to avoid any potential problems with someone saying you're taking a historic building and you're destroying it, even though it might not look like the fanciest thing in the world, but I'll just say I know historic preservation people come out of the woodwork when somebody's against something. So just be very clear that the improvements you're making to the remainder of the building are going to be in kind and matching what is already there. And I think you will avoid a lot of problems, potential problems, I should say, with anybody coming out of the woodwork to complain about this. And that's my tip.
This is not a historic property or in a historic district though, is it?
No, but it's still, the building was built before 1975. So technically it can be nominated or considered by anybody to be on the National Register, which obviously this won't be because it's just an outbuilding, but it's part of actually a historic property, and it could be. So I'm just trying to lay out something that I don't see this as a problem, but you never know, somebody might. So just cover your ass now.
Well, on the
when you
converse
submit
side,
paperwork.
should you like to, in the future, have the existing front house and this barn put on the National Register, you do want to go according to those regulations as well. So you
Yeah.
would still be able to, have it accepted into that status, which is always
I-
nice to have.
I would say that 10 odd years ago, I walked with Martin Van Hoff around the property there. We were looking at that barn for some other things, and I know that it's still standing, which is sort of surprising in some ways. It was a working shed that was added on to over the years. I can certainly appreciate the trying to keep the historic preservationists satisfied, but structurally, I know that building is it's very flimsy, and it could certainly do with some complete restructuring, obviously.
Okay, fair enough.
I've just got a couple of questions about that. I definitely appreciate the historic preservation perspective immensely. But I would have some questions about, citing a fully in-kind replacement. I mean, I'm pretty sure the windows that are there are now wood windows and I would, probably prefer to see them as a clad exterior wood interior unit, just in terms of weather and durability.
Yeah.
Other things like the wood trim is certainly a viable option, but Matt might want to look to, AZAC fascias or AZAC rakes. I'm I'd be a little bit uncomfortable kind of signing off on 100%.
No, that's sorry.
That was like a total mandate.
No, that's, yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I used wording that it wasn't, well, what I understand, maybe you don't, but I mean, in kind appearance. So if there is a 2/2, double hung wood sash window that's rotting, it's perfectly fine to replace it with a 2/2 vinyl clad double hung window because it maintains the appearance of the historic. So no, I mean, just if what's there is rotting and falling apart, you're certainly welcome to replace it with modern man-made materials, but as long as they pretty much maintain the appearance of what was.
Okay, yeah, I think that's very much the intention of what we have
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I wasn't clear on that.
No, I get their message that they want it to look similar, but use different materials that are more up to date, more maintenance friendly. Obviously, AZAC doesn't need to be painted ever. So,
Yeah.
And we've approved those over the years. So this is right in our kind of wheelhouse. Any more questions from board members?
Let me just add, as Cyrus just said, because I haven't seen this building in probably 20 years, if this thing is on its last legs, it might not be an issue, with restoring it or maintaining it. So I just threw out about the preservation stuff just to, protect you against anybody who might complain about it, but it seems like that might not be an issue, so.
Yeah,
That's
to your
all.
point, I should have taken some photos of the existing structure inside and outside so you guys could see what we're working with over there. But it is very dated. I had actually asked Chris if we could save some of the board and batten that's there, but when you get up close to it, there's a lot of wood rot and some vermin holes throughout. So we're looking to secure the barn and make it whole again.
Great.
Are there any concerns of butters or citizens that would like to make a comment or have a question? There's none on the attendee list. Mike has just told me. So if that's the case, Leslie will write up tonight's minutes. I understand you're going to go before the August 18th planning board. 18th, right?
No,
or 20th, I'm sorry.
that the zoning. The 12th is the planning board, 20th is the zoning board.
Okay, so we've got plenty of time to generate our opinion and.
You mean not tomorrow?
Not tomorrow. Sorry, we wanted to stay up all night and do this, but
Been there.
so yeah, I know. Yeah, thanks. But if there's no other questions, I think we can move on to our next petitioner. Matt, Chris, Mike, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, guys.
Good luck,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Good luck. Looks good.
Thank you. We'll get there one day.
Yeah.
Take care.
One day at a time. Yep.
That's right.
Do we have our new petitioners on yet?
Yeah, so Michael Murray is the attorney for the applicant, and the applicant Bill
Breyer.
on right now, and John Bitt.
Good evening, and I'm on the line, Michael Murray, the attorney representing the applicant. My office is 37 Mill Street, Newport, Rhode Island, and I'm representing the petitioner, Aquidneck Gunsmithing. It's a Rhode Island LLC. Its sole member is Bill Breyer, who's a Portsmouth resident. He resides at 129 Indian Avenue. And we're filing this petition. The property to build an 1,800 square foot building. With us this evening is John Vitt, Park Avenue Modular, who will be the builder. And I was going to ask Bill to speak first, and I'm sorry, John to speak first and review the plans and answer any questions, and then Bill, who is also on the line, if you had any questions at all, he's prepared to answer them.
Before we start, I would like to ask, did you hear the introduction of board members prior to this, Mike? Or-
Yes, I did.
Okay, and John and Bill, you're all set?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and our four subjects that we cover are landscape, architectural expression, siding, lighting, and signage. So that's kind of in our purview for this project. So at that point, John, if you want to go ahead, start, man.
Thank you.
Okay, Rich.
Design Board Review Board members, John Vitt, Park Avenue Modular Homes. Mr. Breyer was introduced to me by Mr. McMillan. Mr. McMillan's building, I'm sure you've all been up to Russo Road, and that building came out beautiful, and we're not done yet. Mr. Breyer has a small need for an 1,800 square foot building on a rather large lot. He contracted with engineering. We sent over the plot plan and the site plan. It's 30 by 60. It's very small, but it's for his gunsmithing shop. Pridgeon Steel, who I purchased the steel from to erect the McMillan property, will be doing this steel erection. Mr. Breyer has already selected some colors. To the eave, we're only talking 11 feet. It's a 412 rich pitch roof. Mr. Breyer will make it, we've discussed this before, we'll make this building attractive for the Portsmouth Industrial Park, which is zoned light industrial. Minimal blacktop. We have a long driveway that has to be to get to the building, but just real small, real minimal, not a big footprint in the industrial park.
So are there any elevations that you've since come up with?
Yes, I did attach them to Michael's plans. I can, where are they? Michael's going to scan them, I think. I have them available. There we go. Thank you, Michael.
John, standing seam roof, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And because it's not totally clear, the siding,
Aluminum, the steel siding that's relative to, that's throughout the industrial park and through other buildings in Portsmouth, commercial buildings. I'd have to ask Bill to refresh my memory with respect to the colors that he selected for this building. We did at one time. We did have one time we had a color, and then of course, I'm very familiar with lighting, signage, and of course. Plantings. We've determined that until we get the site in, only because it's a wet area. We are working with a gentleman that has suggested we use some wet water plants. The test hole is, I think there's a drain or a wetland area there. So we want to select the right stuff to grow that's going to grow there. That's not going to get ruined. And it's 30 feet by 60 feet. It's not a big building.
So there's no like rain garden, it's just all going into the detention pond?
Aware of Northeast Engineering, including a rain garden. They're the engineers, I just weigh in on the building, but if necessary, if we determine when we do excavation, if necessary, I'm sure that we will install one pursuant to Northeast Engineering getting it cleared with DEM.
John, from a visual, from the street, we've always kind of said, well, we want the front of the building to look nice. We're not so hung up on the sides and the back. I mean, you've been before us times. To dress up the front of the building from the street, is it something you guys can do? I mean, you did the transmission plate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Frank, I'd say it to you, and I say it very respectfully to you and the other members. It's Portsmouth. We have a style. That's our style. You know what I mean? And after all the years that I've been doing this, I recognize what we want to build in Portsmouth. And by the way, Frank, I just want to say to you that SNS transmission building, the new owner paid significantly more than the previous owner paid. So, I mean, it's a good building. But with respect to what you just said, Frank, this will be, you'll be looking at the front of this building, you'll be looking at the side elevation. I think it's the right elevation, which is only 30 feet. It is behind this, it's behind the septic system. And I believe it's 120 off of High Point Avenue. So it's pretty far back is what I'm getting at. But it does have a very nice front location, very nice front door and a very nice walkway. If you look on this plan here, you see the parking lot, and then there's a handicap spot, and then the concrete picks up again and walks you into a very nice front door. And again, the plantings will be nicely displayed so that even though it's 100 feet or 120 feet back, it'll look good.
The building sits higher than the road by about, what are we looking at, about 4 or 5 feet?
Yes. It'll be propped up. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is not visual from,
But again, it's still 120 feet back.
you can't see it from West Main?
No, you're not going to see that building from West Main. There's too much. What's to the east, to the west of this lot is I call it the crest of the entrance to get into, and that rock. When you're on West Main, you're going along, you're heading down the hill, and this is up above, behind all that rock, that big piece of rock.
Yep.
Again, it's a very Mr. Breyer just wanted this to be as compact as possible. Initially, it was a 1,500 square foot building, and then when he learned that he had to put in a handicap restroom, we increased it to the 1,800 square feet, so that he has the room to do what he wants to do on the inside of the building. But my charge is the outside. I believe there'll be one small sign at the driveway signage, by way of signage, one small sign at the driveway, and then one small sign on the front door. As far as lighting, there'll be just security lighting around the building.
Let me ask you a question. Will there be anything outside for testing the guns?
Nothing.
I can
Everything is
speak to that.
control. Everything is inside.
I can speak to that. Can you hear me?
Sure.
No, I would not be doing any firing inside. We wouldn't be permissible in Portsmouth, and I wouldn't consider it safe to do. So Tiverton Rod and Gun Club is 6 or 7 minutes north, and I would do any testing over there.
That's convenient. You're between the two clubs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's exciting.
Well, thank you.
My only comment is, we do have landscape requirements. And even though John has said it's 120 feet back from the road, and it has a gorgeous bituminous concrete walkway to a beautiful front door, there's still no landscape elements to soften the look of the building, even though it is 120 feet back from the road with this retention wall in front. So I still think, even if it's, I guess we don't necessarily need a full landscape plan for this, but at least a list, on a cocktail napkin even, or just, here's what we're going to put at the front of the building just to soften the view, even though it is 120 feet back.
Mr. Avery?
We'd be more than glad to supply that. And Bill, the applicant, and myself, Michael Murray speaking, we would like it to be compatible with the other buildings in the area.
Yeah.
And Bill, the applicant, Breyer, has actually been talking with some folks about possible trees, and we would get that to you.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything extraordinarily fancy, but just what's shown now is there's nothing there, and the town does require something there. So just, you know,
I agree.
here's a list of what you could do.
Mr. Avery, I will be sure to make sure that the selection, I have a very good rapport with Mr. Vanasek, and I've discussed other properties with him. I have two, I have to say this here. I bought two forsythias from Mr. Vanasek, and they were supposed to go at the junction of Russo Road and Chelsea Drive. They didn't go there. They're in front of my house. And I just want to say, and it's so, we're talking 12, 13 years ago. They're so big, they're so beautiful. So I appreciate what you just said. Look, because it's easy to do, but it's got to be done. What I will do is I'll provide Mike from the planning department a list of recommendations for us to install around the building tomorrow afternoon.
Sure.
And then he can get over to you guys.
John, you've been in front of us dozens of times. We know you always do the right thing in the end.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
It's Portsmouth. I live here, and besides
I
that,
know.
I want to see more commercial light industrial development like this. I want to see more commercial industrial tax base.
That's what I want to ask.
You run
Can I ask something?
No, I'm not.
it.
Are there like large sycamore trees lining when you drive down Headley on the right, like when you're coming into the property, or are there not any trees along the street?
I don't believe there's any, on the front of High Point, I don't believe there's anything there on that corner.
That one right there, right?
I think that just the one that's shown on the plan is the one that's existing.
Because, I mean, I know, Portsmouth, we're trying to get more trees planted. So if there is, a lot of open space that comes up with the construction, it'd be really nice if a couple trees were planted.
That's easy.
Sure, we can do that.
And like shade trees, not just like little magnolias and cherries and stuff, like big, hardwood trees.
I'm happy to do that. This is really a retirement business for me. It's a place that I'm going to come to every day as I grow older, and I want it to look nice. I want it to be a pleasant place to come to work. So I'm happy to do that.
Any more questions from the other board members? Now, forever hold your peace, sort of thing. Is there any concerned citizens or abutters that would like to ask a question? And Mike has nobody in the queue for that. So kind of the synopsis of what we're gathering now is John's going to get a list to Mike, right, of
Yes.
plantings that, we're going to add on to our opinion. And Leslie's going to, being the landscape architect, is going to kind of look over it and put it in our opinion. John, I know you're going to do the right thing. Please do. That's all I say.
Yeah. Thank you. And I do apologize that, this has been a kind of strange way of doing business, but we're getting it done. And I thank you to the members of the Design Review Board. I know that this is a volunteer position that you guys do. So thanks for keeping an eye out for the town of Portsmouth. And also to Mike in the planning office.
Thank you, Mike.
I think he's overworked and underpaid, but that's my position.
Is the existing sycamore going to be retained on the property?
Yes.
It may, the way it looks with the
The driveway.
driveway, you may want to, that may disrupt the root system if it's that close to the driveway. Just to keep that.
We'll consult with a person that I know of that does a lot of tree work for me and just say, hey, what are we going to do here? I just on a residential project, I had a septic system that was too close to a really beautiful holly tree. I wound up saving it. So I'll do the best I can.
And I'm sorry, can you just repeat what the lighting was? Because I didn't get that.
It's LED lighting packs on the front door, just to light up the front entranceway. There'll be a little bit of ground lighting on that walkway so that when you pull, if like in wintertime, 4:30, you pull up into the building, you can get out and you'll have a little lighted walkway. And then just security lighting on the side of the building that will be auto, it'll be an auto sensor to turn it on and to turn it off, at dusk. But everything will be downlighted. Nothing will be going into anybody's, any other buildings or any other, you won't see it. It's all downlight. It's just lighting the building. That's all. That's what I've learned that we do very good in Portsmouth with the electricians. They know what we need. Downlights, just to light the building, not the property around it.
Anything but wall packs.
Yes. By chance, did anybody see the lights that Mr. McMillan put up over his garage doors? Go take a look at them. They're pretty neat.
Where's that, John?
24 Russo Road.
Got it.
It's cross street from Steel Giraffe.
Got it. Yep.
They could have been bigger, but they look very nice. And it's incandescent. It's not even LED.
Well,
Yeah, standing seat. Okay, if there's no other questions, we should be able to generate an opinion after John gets us the list tomorrow. So give Leslie a couple days. You're on for the same planning hearing, John, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I believe we're on for the 18th, 19th, and the 20th.
Yep. Okay. So
No, I'll get this, Frank. I'll get this done tomorrow, and I'll get it right up to I'll confer with Mr. Breyer, and then I'll get it right up to Michael tomorrow, so he can get it over to you guys.
Okay.
Turn this around very quickly.
John, I'm going to be out of the office for 2 days, but if you email it to me, I'll forward the email.
Very good.
I don't know, John, if you could decide on the color, I mean, the next day, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Bill, you still here? Bill, you still with us?
Yeah, sorry my video's not working, but yes, the color of the building would be tan walls and a dark green roof.
And that's exactly what McMillan Yachts is, by the way, that 24 Russo Road. It's a tan steel building with a green roof. But it's 8,000 square feet. It's not 1,800 square feet. It's much bigger.
Okay, I think we're all good with our petitioners this evening. Members, if they want to hang around for a minute and see if they have any questions or, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Frank. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
Good luck
Appreciate
with
it.
it.
Thanks, Michael and John.
We're out of
Thank
here.
you, board members. I was talking to Mike prior to the meeting, and I have a feeling this is going to be the way it is for quite a while, which is actually working to our favor. I think more of us can attend meetings, particularly myself when I travel, which I'm starting to again. It's going to be the way it goes. The Secretary of State has already changed her rules. Nellie Gravella has kind of been at the forefront of this thing, and I like it. It's going to make things much easier for all of us. The way technology is, the way the town is set up, the Zoom programs that they have now to do all this. I think Mike said the only time they might have is maybe a zoning hearing that's contentious, where you've got a whole bunch of abutters and concerned people, and we don't have that. So I wish you all well and stay safe, and you'll be seeing the opinion in the next couple days from Leslie. Okay.
Hey, Frank, where's your mask?
where's
Doesn't do any good on the desktop.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, Leslie, for caring for everybody.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anyway, everyone have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
When I like working outside. 'cause
Bye, Brendan.
outside